Shalom, shalom, shalom. My shalom, Cam. How's everybody doing? My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Yisrael. First and foremost, giving honor and due respect to the Most High, the King of all that there is, the Most High Yah, the creator, maker, owner of the heavens and the earth. On a human level, giving due respect to the founder and leader of the congregation of Shema Yisrael, Prince of Paul ben Zebulun, as well as his son, a good friend of mine, Prince Onasi Natan El, as well as the head of the SOG order, the elder, to me at least, elder, and chief man, Chief Natan El. People may have heard in the past when I teach in Shema, or pardon me, when I did prayers in Shema, might have heard the phrase by saying, Nasi Zipor, Wagam et Bano, Nasi Natan El, Wagam et Saranu, Sar Natan El, right? What I'm saying in that particular regard is basically in Hebrew, Nasi Zipor, which means Prince Zipor, Wagam et, and also Beno, his son, Nasi Natan El, Wagam et, and also Sarnu, our chief, Sar Natan El. So that's just the breakdown in that particular regard in Hebrew. Now, this is like the other one that was done last month. It's not going to be a very, very long lesson, but we want to emphasize certain things. We started the Hebrew class in Shema in March of 2016. And we kept on going with the classes, and it went from the alphabet and vowels to eventually you getting to vocabulary, then you get into nouns, masculine nouns, possession of masculine nouns, such as take the word kad, which means a pitcher that you drink from. Kadi became my pitcher. Kado, his pitcher. All right. Then you get into a feminine noun like the word kulza, which means blouse. Kulzata will be like her blouse. We went over those kind of things with that. Then eventually we got into things such as the verbs and going over the 7 stems and so forth and so on. What we started to do from last month, brothers and sisters, is to rehash or redo, okay, all of the lessons, but a much more meticulous aspect. So all of them from last March of 2016 all the way to May of 2017, all right, this year here, then are still on live for those who want to check it out. If you have any questions, periodically I go through my playlist on my YouTube thing where I got all the all of the classes listed and answer the questions accordingly. All right, so just want that to be noted for edification purposes. I sat under to speak on my credentials in this particular regard. I sat under the elder first, Mora Yosef Adakol She'eri, where they used to do Hebrew classes back in 1988, 1989, and so forth. However, my very, very first Hebrew class was in 1984 when I was a little boy. All right. And that was conducted by an elder to me by the name many people may know as Adon Omore Katriel. Eventually, as time went on, I went to a congregation called Beni Adat, just listing my credentials and who I studied under to show that it's just not just a pop magic thing that they just dig somebody up off the box and say, teach a Hebrew lesson. It didn't come out like that. All right. While I was in Beni Adat, may rest in peace be to the elder Rob Yashurin, because he was the elder and the person who ran a particular place at that time. I studied Hebrew under an elder by the name of Adon Aharon ben Zebulun, and I learned a lot under that particular man. I learned how not to be looking at this, for instance, and saying, well, it's too hard or it's too difficult, or can I really grasp it? The fear that many people may have of Hebrew that I did even at the tender age of 11, that particular elder actually helped me get over that particular fear. All right. So on a human level, I give, may he rest in peace, due respect to him for that. May the Most High remember his works. All right. Now, By the time I got into the place called Hashaba, I was taught under the elder Kohen Mikael in Hebrew. And by then I was already reading Hebrew. So it was already grasping to me very quickly by the age of 13 and 14. They had what was called Kita Sika, which means like class of conversation or class of conversation. And we went over quite a good deal of amount of stuff in history. Pardon me, in Hebrew. All right. So that's some of the aspects with that, as far as it goes. So those who know those elders, um, that's the legacy that I came from as far as being able to be eligible to even teach Hebrew. Okay. All right. Now, as far as it goes with that, we call this one here a presentation concerning alphabet and vowels. We want to emphasize that in order to know how to read Hebrew, I state again, in order to know how to read Hebrew, one must know the alphabet, the sounds that the letters make, and the sounds of the vowels. Okay? Once you understand the alphabet and the sounds that the vowels make, one then knows how to read Hebrew by default. Doesn't take much after that because the sounds that the letters make is the sound that it starts with. All right, that's one thing. Secondly, all you got to do is put the vowels with it to make a sound. Now, there are those who may say that Hebrew has no vowels. So when you're looking at, say, something like this, but only no offense intended with an English mind, and people are saying that Hebrew has no vowels, is that stated because one's thinking with an English mind. The only thing a vowel is in actuality is a sound that is written. So whether a person knows how to even read or not, even if there's certain alphabets, pardon me, there's certain languages that's not even written. In this earth to this day, that's still spoken. There are languages and dialects in this earth that are not written whatsoever, but it's just spoken. And it has sound. Sound, as stated, is the verbal aspect of a written sound, which is a vowel. A vowel is a sound that is written. That's the only thing a vowel is. So to say that Hebrew or any language has no vowels is to say that Hebrew or any language doesn't have any sound. And that, of course, we know, pardon me, is not the case in actuality. All right, so we just want to point that out for edification purposes. This, as we went over before, okay, is the Hebrew alphabet. This is the letter Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Waw, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ain, Pe, Zadeh, Kuf, Resh, Sheen, and Tau. We're going to go over this once again in a couple of minutes. But there's certain things I want to point out. Bet makes what we can say in English as the B sound, Gamel the G sound, because whatever it starts with is the sound that it makes. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right? There are 22 Hebrew letters in the original Hebrew alphabet. What we'll go over in part today is the Sophite letters in part, like Ka Sophite, Mem Sophite, Nun Sophite, Faith Sophite, and Zadeh Sophite. The word Sophite means ending. It comes from the word Soph, which means end or final. That's why some people say the final Kaf or the final Mem or the final Nun, the final Fe or the final Zadeh. Now, in ancient Hebrew writing, there was no Sophite written down in phonetic aspect. That didn't exist. All right. So I just want to point that out for reason and purposes. All right. Now, another thing we want to sit there and emphasize and get into, brothers and sisters, is that Hebrew is always read from right to left. We went over before, we went over 5 particular vowels or 6 particular vowels, which goes underneath the letter. Today, we're going to go over all the Sophites or the Sophite, or sufiyot in the pluralization of it, pardon me, and all of the vowels so we can gain an understanding of what we're talking about. We want to be as detailed and meticulous as possible. We don't mind constructive criticism. We don't mind somebody pulling our coattail. We don't mind somebody trying to sit there and enlighten, excuse me, and enlighten us upon something or so forth and so on. All right? So this is something you just want to be noted for reason and purposes. Let's go over this one more time. Stop this whenever you get the chance when listening to it and write it down, memorize it, study it, test yourself, because this is how you're going to be able to move along in these kind of lessons. All right? If Aleph, Bet, Gemel, Dalet, Hey, mute letter, B sound, G sound, D sound, H sound, Wow, Zayin, Ket, Tet, Yod, W sound, Z sound, KH sound, strong KH sound, T sound, Y sound. Now, why do I say KH and not CH? It's simply because CH might be said by some as cheese or cheddar or chase. And this doesn't give the ch sound, it gives a k sound, like the ending of the word ak or tapuak or mateak or ruak, not ruch or something of that sort. So it's not a CH sound. I say a KH sound, so there will be no misunderstanding with somebody thinking it can be said like in the word cheese. All right? Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samek, K sound, L sound, M sound, N sound, S sound. All right? Ayin, Pei, Dade, Kuf, Resh. Ayin said by some having a sound like a guttural, like a low kind of G, like Amora. Like when you read about Solomon Gomorrah, Gomorrah starts with this one right here, this letter right here, Amora. But some emphasize that this does have a sound, and some say it doesn't. All right, but this is the letter Ayin. Pei, the P sound. Zade, the TZ sound. Kuf, making like a QW, pardon me, a QU or a K W aspect. Resh. All right. The word resh or the letter resh or resh itself means head or leader. Shin Tao. Shin Tao. All right. So we can gain SH sound, and many are saying that this is really either a T or TH sound, where you get words like Beth, Lehem, and Beth, Shemush, and so forth. And Adath as opposed to Adat. One of the arguments given concerning this letter here, the last letter Hebrew alphabet, is said that this is supposed to be said as a TH. This is why when you read like in Leviticus 24, you read about the aspect of Shalomith. All right, so just want to point that out in that particular regard. So, one of the things we want to point out in regards to this particular thing is a couple of things. First off, we read that this is saying it as the Hebrew alphabet. Now, this is the style of writing I want to emphasize is actually Aramaic writing. We went over this in the past. All right. So if I were to sit there and say something like this, right? If you look at this on this side here, from A to I, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Now, this is a particular form of writing known as English writing, but the root of this style of writing goes back to Latin, and the Latin form of writing goes back to Greeks. which goes back to what they call the Phoenician. And the Phoenician goes back to Hebrew, aka also known as the phonetic writing of the Aramaic. Now, a lot of brothers and sisters may have a problem with that kind of thing, but we have to understand that the term Hebrew was a terminology used as a generic term. The people who were called Hebrews did not call themselves Hebrews among their own selves. They were called that by other peoples. And they called themselves Hebrews when speaking about themselves to other peoples. However, in speaking of themselves, they did not say, hey, I'm a Hebrew. Yeah, I'm a Hebrew among themselves. You read about Joseph in Genesis calling himself a Hebrew. All right, when he was who? Among foreigners. You read Jonah doing the same thing when he was where? Among foreigners. So we just want to point that out for edification purposes. All right, so that's something to be noted for reason and purposes. I say this and no disrespect intended. You will find majority of the people who bash against learning Hebrew, speaking Hebrew, or those who say what we're speaking as Hebrew is incorrect are usually unilateral people. And what I mean by unilateral means they only know one language, and that one language usually is only English. See, when you begin to want to study something, get into something, learn something, you're always going to have that one or two adversaries that may just want to sit there and be like, well, what's the point in it? Or so forth. Meanwhile, no disrespect intended, and I say this as stated, and no disrespect intended, they're still holding up in due respect this book right here. But this book here, the Bible, was translated from this style of writing, especially the Old Testament, that we see right here. So if this is off or incorrect, then this means that this is off. See, you can't say that the Hebrew that was translated into different versions in English and so forth and so on is off because we're using the same style of writing of Hebrew that you see. We're using the same aspect of Hebrew that's spoken in biblical Hebrew. This is what we're teaching out of Shema. And then saying that this must be correct. You can't say that the English translation from this style of writing is correct while you're saying this that I'm holding in my hand right here is incorrect. Now, before we get into books aspect, we wanted to sit there and explain some things based upon logic. All right. So that's just something we want to point out for reason and purposes. Okay. Now, next thing, brothers and sisters, that we want to get into, okay, is this here. This, brothers and sisters, is the same exact thing, but with the Sophete letters. As stated, we're going to go over the Sophete letters today. All right. Now, in order to be able to read Hebrew, you must be able to know how to identify, as stated, the letters and then the vowels. The letters and the vowels. When we go over Hebrew, let's say inside the camp at, in Shema, we're dealing with a certain aspect. Know the alphabet and the vowels. Repetitive. The book of Deuteronomy means just that, repetition. Deuteronomy, from the Greek root of it, means repetition. Debarim, said in Hebrew, means words or things. These are the words which were spoken to the children of Israel and so forth. So, point I'm saying is, when you get right down into it, when you're dealing with the children of Israel, nothing wrong with repetition. So these classes that we're doing starting from last month, continuing into now, is something that we want to continue to go over. May seem meticulous, don't mean to sit there and bore anybody, but in order, I state again, in order to be able to read Hebrew, you must be able to identify the alphabet and the vowels. One of the things I want to emphasize is this. When a baby is learning to walk, you don't push the baby and say, run now, while the baby is still learning to be not as comfortable crawling. See, once he or she, as the baby, is learning, okay, I can walk now, I don't have to crawl, you don't, at that same token, push the baby to run. There's steps and stages and degrees. Take your time. How many people sit there and say, we rushed in a relationship and now it didn't work? The same situation we're dealing with in language. Brothers and sisters, if you do not know this by heart, and if you do not know the vowels, my suggestion, please do not sit there and try to find out about biblical Hebrew books, lexicons, and so forth. That's for later. There's a time for everything. So this is something to be noted for edification purposes, okay? Now, and continuing on with my diet, I no longer drink soda. I drink water only. All right, so here we're going to go on with this right here. All right, said as this. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Waw, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Kaf Sofi, Lamed, Mem, Mem Sofi, Nun, Nun Sofi, Samek, Ayin, Pei, Pei Sofi, Zadeh, Zadeh Sofi, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tau. Now, what I'm going to do, all right, is highlight in here all of the Sophite letters that you see, all right? Kaf Sophite highlighted, Mem Sophite highlighted, Nun Sophite highlighted, Pei Sophite highlighted, Zadeh Sophite highlighted. Now, when we're saying Sophite from the root word Soph, meaning ending or final, those particular 5 letters go only at the end of a word. Let me give you an example. Right? Let's look at this right here. Mem, Lamed, Kaf Sophite. This letter right here represents this here. Mem, Lamed, Kaf Sophite, Melech, which means what? King. You don't spell the Melech with this at the end. You spell it with this at the end. All right? Give you another example. This right here spells the word Mayim. Mem, Yod, Mem Sophite. Here is the Mem Sophite. So when you're spelling it at the end, you don't use this Mem, you use the final or Sophite Mem. That's how that works with that. So here is the synopsis so far. When you have a Hebrew word that ends in a Kaf, you put the Kaf Sophite. If it ends in a Mem, you put the Mem Sophite. If it ends in a Nun, you put a Nun Sophite, as in the word Shabbaton. If it ends in a Pei, you put a Fe Sophite or Pei Sophite, as in the word Yosef, transliterated as Joseph. Then you have Zadeh, all right, as in the word Eretz, which means earth. So we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. Those 5 letters are what you put at the end of a word. All right, when you're discussing the aspect in Hebrew concerning the Sophite letters. Now, we're going to go over what we did so far. Okay? And looking at it from this particular angle. Once again, Aleph, mute. Bet, B sound. May seem redundant, but we got to do it like so. Gamel, G sound. Dalit, D sound. Hey, H sound. Wow, W sound. Zain, Z sound. Het, KH sound. Tet, T sound. Yod, Y sound. Kaf, K sound. Lamed, L sound. Mem, M sound. Noon, N sound. Samek, S sound. Ain, mute, but some people say it's a guttural. We'll discuss that too. Pay, P sound. Zadeh, TZ sound. Quoof, Q sound. Resh, R sound. Sheen, SH sound. Thou, TH or strong T sound. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I just want to point this out yet again for edification purposes. All right? Now, you can look at this as stated when you're watching it, pause it, go back, review it, stop it, rewind, go back, stop, rewind, just like you sit there and you do with anything else when you're studying. All right? So, let's do this one more time, O house of Yisrael. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Wow, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Kaf Sofi, Lamed, Mem, Mem Sofi, Nun, Nun Sofi, Samek, Ain, Pei, Pei Sofi, Zadeh, Zadeh Sofi, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tau. Now, if you just happen to join us, what we're going over is called a presentation concerning the alphabet and vowels. That's what we're dealing with. Last time we had lesson number 1 or class number 1, which was last month actually. With that particular thing that was done, we went over certain aspects of how ancient Hebrew was written and everything like that. What we're going to do, all right, because I was given permission by the officers in the camp of Shema Yisrael to deal with the Hebrew class. And no disrespect intended, I inquired of my Hebrew teacher on how to run a Hebrew class. Because it's one thing to know Hebrew. It's another thing to be able to teach it. Like I know English, I speak it, I read it, I write it, but I do not know how to teach English. So I'd have no problem inquiring from my teachers. All right? I have no problem giving respect or props, as the terminology may go, to my teachers. If I happen to just study something on my own, I'm not self-taught. That's the Most High showing me something. Always be mindful and careful of any brother talking about he's self-taught. Don't trust that person because they don't give the Most High, the Heavenly Father, and certainly on a human level, not their teachers that the Most High set before him. Never trust a person who says they're self-taught. There's arrogance. But getting back to the point of the Hebrew, what we want to get into and what you're looking at, all right, is this. You have the Kaf, Sofit, Mem Sofit, Nun Sofit, Pei Sofit, Zadeh Sofit. These 5 that you see highlighted are the ones, as we went over earlier, that go only at the end of a word. When you're making the K sound or the Kaf that is at the end of a word, you'll see this here. Same with the Mem, the Nun, the Fe or Pei, and the Zadeh. Okay? So we want to point that out for reason and purposes. We want to, with the remaining time, excuse me, go over the aspect with some of the vowels, all right? Here's the list that we'll be dealing with, all right? What they say, Nukudos chart or vowel chart, which is Nukudot, that should be a T. Nikudot ends with a tau. But all right, we have here the patak makes the ah sound. All right, I'm going to write it in red letters. The sounds that each of these make. All right. Now, we didn't go over all of these last time, but we will this time, okay? And yes, the next time we have a class, we'll go over the alphabet and the vowels even more in depth because you cannot know how to read without knowing the alphabet and the vowels, all right? Okay. What you're looking at right here with the patak makes the ah sound like the AH, ah, as in the word ata, as in the word abba, and so forth. All right? So we just want to point that out. It's not saying ha, I just wrote it, because remember Hebrew goes right to left, but I wrote it in English letters, so I wrote it from left to right. All right, in that particular case. What you're looking at here makes the A sound, as in the word bay, K, ray, pardon me, say, all right? These two dots that you see next to each other. This as well as this, they both go underneath the letter, all right? Whatever the letter is, as we went over last time. Sounds redundant? Okay. Then we have this one here. This is called a segol. This, such as these, go under the letter. Sounds redundant? Okay. As in the word melek, as in the word e'ese. E'ese means I will do. Melek means king. All right. So we just want to point this out for edification purposes. All right. You hear the elder principal say this, and this is nothing said off camera. This is something said on camera. In a time of need, to be slack is sin. Israel, we need to know our language. There are some who may say, well, the language may not be important. There's some who saying, what's the point in having it? How can it benefit you? If you was born and you know yourself as an Israelite from your teens or later on in life, maybe even as an adult, then, and you picked a name that ended with Yehuda or Yisrael, but your birth certificate says the name Raja, says the name Vernon, says the name James, says the name Stephen, and I call you Brother Stephen. When you pick the Hebrew name, that's a problem. You can't pick a Hebrew name and then say Hebrew has no importance. If you don't have the time to study, granted, some people got 2 jobs and school, full time at that. Some people have to deal with their children. This is why, brothers and sisters, we're thinking of Most High, that we're able to put this online for people to watch it whenever you get the time. Watch it on your phone, watch it on your laptop, watch it on your desktop, watch it on whatever, I don't know, if iPad or iPod, I don't know the difference between the two, but whatever you're able to watch YouTube and able to, we hope you also subscribe to the channel. Watch it. Whenever you get the time and chance, it's going to stay on. We do not intend to erase this. All right. So we want that to be noted for edification purposes. Now, we're going to go right here for a reason. Here we have, all right, EE, or the E sound. All right. You see this in the word ta'asi. You will see this. Ta'asi is how you say to a female, you will do. Malki, meaning my king. Adoni, meaning my lord. All right. Ishti, good one. Ishti means what? My wife. What? Ishi, meaning my husband. All right. So we just, and this is when you will see this particular this right here. All right. Both this and this make the same sound. All right. Now the distinction is this goes under the letter. Shuruk goes under the letter. You see that in words as stated before, like Shalumael. This goes underneath the letter. All right? All of these, which we're going to explain this in detail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of the 7 vowels you see here, 6 of them go under the letter. What you're looking at right here is called the shuruk. We call it a kibbutz. That's what we call it. But we're going to move on. All right? And this also makes the oo sound. You see that in words like Yerushalem. You will see this particular thing right here. The word atudim, amudim as well. You will see this particular one. You see words like atudim and amudim in the book of Exodus when you're talking about the tabernacle and so forth. All right, so we just want that to be noted for edification purposes. All right, now we want to go and explain our friend right here. After we explain this, here goes next to the letter. Give an example of what I'm talking about. Let's look at this word right here. Pei, kuf, wow, dalit. All right? Just want to emphasize that particular part. Correct, brothers and sisters, we do not have a board yet, but we're working with what we have. But we're being redundant regardless. So we just want to emphasize that particular thing. Because we can't go further until this is understood. Pei, kuf, wow, dalit. Pakud. What I want to emphasize on is what I'm going to highlight right here. All right? And this says kuf and the kibbutz. Kwu. Pei and ah. You see the ah right here. Pa. P and ah spells pa. Or pei and ah. We want to be more phonetically correct. Kuf and u is kwu. This is the dalit, so you just put it together. Pakud. Pakud means visited. All right? So I just want that to be noted. It's what they call the passive present tense in English terminology. All right? What we're going to end with tonight's lesson with is our friend right here called the Shawah. And we're going to use one example showing when you see this particular thing right here, one dot over the other, not next to, but over the other, you join it with the sound that's before it, or if it's the first, or if it's with the first letter of a word, you just make the sound of that letter. Okay, that's what we want to work on in this particular regard. All right? You see this word here? I'm going to spell it also next to it in the ancient so it can be seen. See this word right here? We're going to spell it also next to it. See this word right here? Now, let's flip the page and show what we're talking about. All right? Now, the particular vowel I'm going to highlight that we want to emphasize on is what you see highlighted right here. This is the shawah. This word, okay, as you see here, spells what? Yisrael. We're going to go over the aspect of the letters and explain what we're talking about. Yod, Sin. Now, mind you, Sin is a variant of Sheen. So if you hear someone say Yish as Yisrael, they're not totally off. Yod, Sin, Resh, Aleph, and Lamed. Now, one of the things we want to point out, this Yod had the Kirik, which makes the E sound. Ye. Then we see the Sin here with what's highlighted here with the Shawah. All right? This particular Shawah that you see right here, or any of them in that, all you do is just join it together when reading. That's the name of that vowel, Shawah. You join it together and you continue to go. You don't say Yis, Sin, Resh, A, Aleph, A, Lamed. Look, no. You don't say the name of the letter when you're reading. You just say the sound that it makes, this making a Y sound, the S sound, the R sound, no sound because Aleph is mute, and Lamed making the L sound. So all you say is Yisrael. Yisrael. All right? Let's go over this one more time. You got the Yod and the E sound, making Yi. Seen with the Shawah. We already stated when you see it as such, what you do is, this is not a switch thing, like one in place of the other. We're showing that it connects. Yisrael. A very popular word. That's why I decided to use it as such. All right? So, we can gain an understanding of this. Y-I-S, not Y-I-Z. That's an S. Yeast. As you'll see right here, we want to show it underground version. So I'm writing it verbatim in that regard. Yod, Sin, together. We actually went over this inside the old classes, but we just want to show this for edification purposes. Yis, Ra'el. Yis, Ra'el. All right? And the word Yisrael means El, or God will contend. We wanted to show that for edification purposes, brothers and sisters. My contact number, 908-587-4841. 908-587-4841. Call or text. With that, we're going to close out in prayer and give thanks to the Most High. Baruch El Elyon, Gomer Kol Debarim, wa Gorem Kol Debar Gam Kain. Ata Ose, wa Gam Kain Kol Debarim, Ashel Ne'esu, Vayad Ka, Hem Kayim, Hem Holy, Elohenu, wa Elohe Abotenu, Shublanu, Etsefatenu, wa Lishonenu, wa Gam Kain Kol Debarim Hayafin, wa Gam Kain Kol Debarim Hatobin, Asha Atana Tata Bachayenu, Shublanu, Et Kamoka Bachayenu, Watiana Babakwa Kulanu, Ut Barekna, Etamachane Shema Yisrael, Wagam Ken Ko Nisi E, Shema Yisrael, Wagam Ken Ko Sare, Wagam Ken Ko Anshe, Wagam Ken Ko Neshe Gam Ken, Tabarek Otam Babakwashaya, Wagam Ken Al Na Tishkak Et Yalde Shema. Wakal Yalde B'nei Yisrael, Amka Ashohem Hupsu B'Kol Pa'ate Haaretz. Eloheinu, we Elohe Abotenu. Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yitzchak, we Elohe Yisrael. Salak Lanu, we Gam Ken Raketz Kulanu. Hallelujah. Amen.